Just ignore the wet shirt. It's boiling today, and my Scandinavian heritage think I still have to survive Danish winters. What did I get from my African side? A fat ass. I wish something else was big. My female goldfish. Bigger females, more eggs. Pipkin Pippa is a streamer, and she also has content on YouTube, and she decided to share her goldfish knowledge. I am going to grade her, and everything she gets wrong, I'm going to be dishing out my justice. So, let's get into the video and see where she is correct and incorrect, and if I feel necessary, I will also expand on the information.
Ranchos are the best. Actually, I think ranchos are kind of cringe. I think Black Moors, Telescope, and Bubble Eye are actually the cute. Well, maybe not Bubble Eye as much.
This is a Bubble Eye goldfish. It's one
This
of
is
the
Luke's
goldfish
goldies.
breeds that I'm really against the breeding of.
Hey, my man Luke! You know you've made it when a VTuber reacts to your content. Yeah, we actually follow each other on different platforms, and he's even liked a couple of my videos. That's what you should do.
They've been selectively bred to have these very large fluid-filled
Okay, these ones look silly.
with their eyes. And it makes
But there's
it
some
very
that look
hard to
beautiful.
see properly,
Okay, he's
and
choosing the worst
see properly
photos.
too. And they're extremely delicate. These
They are
fluid-filled
delicate.
snacks can easily get popped, get infected, and hurt the goldfish.
I love
Go
ornamental
through it
goldfish.
first.
Man, I mean, basically everything was covered there. Bubble Eye goldfish is one of the very, very few varieties of fancy goldfish that I'm like, I wouldn't say it's quite cruel to produce them, but they're definitely going to need specialized care. The eyes are more pointed up, so you definitely don't want to have them in sunlight direct. Probably better to have that animal in your house, and you're going to have to be real careful with those sacks because they can pop. Now, yeah, they can recover, but as he mentioned in the video, they can get an infection, and a lot of people don't have the experience to treat that correctly. Which means no gravel, just bare bottom tank, don't have any ornaments, just make sure that it's a glass tank. Definitely a fish I would not recommend to people just getting into the fancy goldfish hobby.
What is this weird bubble?
Look at him!
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
I love goldfish!
Plus 10 points.
I love goldfish so much!
10 and a half.
Bam, 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 bam. The goldfish that you're used to seeing, right? Like if you look at like a normal goldfish, like in this is a comet. This is a comet goldfish. They're the ones that they get absolutely.
The goldfish in that picture has a double tail, so it is probably a fantail cull. A comet has a single tail. That is going to deduct 5 points.
This is called wen, and so one of the things about wen is it'll actually like grow over the eyes and stuff of the goldfish, and so the goldfish keepers, they'll have to like trim it.
That is very true. 5 points. So this isn't necessary with every ranchu ever. Certain ranchu just have an excess amount of wing growth. So this is not something you'd have to worry about with every single ranchu.
I'm not as into these.
I breed ranchu. Well, that's more of a personal opinion. I don't think I can deduct points for that. Well, I used to breed ranchu. I'm kind of waiting for a new shipment from overseas because my previous batch of ranchu died. Hence the Blade Runner parody I made.
For real? Yeah, for real. I can show you wen trimming videos. Not right now. Not right now. We're getting off topic. We're getting very off topic. I'm getting into my goldfish obsession. You know, you're sitting for doors. What a cruel mockery of an animal's form. Yeah, that sounds.
This is something you're gonna see a lot in some of the comments in her stream, and it's definitely something I want to address. Something that I see from time to time is people will conflate pugs with fancy goldfish, and they're not quite the same. Because a fancy goldfish, yeah, they are more predisposed to things like swim bladder disease. The reason why the breeding of pugs and English bulldogs are inhumane is because they've got the smushed in faces. Brachycephalic, I believe is the word. And so the airway in their nose is smushed. And that's why they struggle to breathe. English bulldogs, purebred English bulldogs, can't even give birth naturally. Every English bulldog puppy has to be born through C-section, Like, that's a complete genetic disaster. Most fancy goldfish live perfectly normal, happy lives. They are predisposed to certain diseases. Their entire existence is in suffering.
Goldfish? Okay, so common goldfish are a lot hardier than normal goldfish.
I'm gonna add another 5 points for that. It's true. Common goldfish are hardier.
Goldfish and koi come from the same animal.
That is going to minus 10 points. It is that egregious of a fish sin. Koi are descended from an amur carp, not the common carp. Goldfish are descended from a wild variety of goldfish that is from the Yangtze river in China. You'll see these blog post articles from people who literally don't do much research. And they're like, oh yeah, they're descended from the Christian carp. And another blog post says, oh, they're descended from the, what's the other one? Prussian carp. No. Goldfish is part of the Carassius group, but they're separate. They are not descended from the Prussian or Crucian carp, sorry. They did a genetic study on the goldfish and found that there were 4 goldfish ancestors back in the day, and these animals interbred with each other. And that was the ancestor of today's modern goldfish. Obviously, there's more history involved here, but that's basically it. Not only is this inaccuracy so egregious as to deduct 10 points, but I must also give punishment. I am sorry, little one.
Here I come, a mega idol. All eyes on me, no eyes on you. You think I'm silly? I'm here to save them.
So this is what goldfish and koi come from. They come from Crucian carp.
That's gonna be another 5-point deduction. Why do you not learn? Why must you make me do this?
What makes ornamental goldfish and why like the comets are kind of like a pass in the goldfish community, right? Like these aren't like as valued. Ornamental goldfish are bred to have an egg shape. And so what that does is it smushes all of the organs of the fish.
So that is plus 5 points for knowing about how fancy goldfish are rounder. Now there are things like Shibukin and Azumanushki is also a bit more lengthy. They're not quite as round. So you do get more elongated fancy goldfish.
Community, there's entire shows for this.
I'm also gonna add 2 more points because she actually knows that there's shows for fancy goldfish. South Africa is one of those too now, by the way, thanks to me. Because I realized if I wasn't gonna do it, nobody was gonna do it.
It doesn't sound good? It's like pugs. It's like pugs. You know how people have pugs?
What did she mean with it's like pugs? Because fancy goldfish were selectively bred to look beautiful, and pugs were selectively bred to suffer. So I'm gonna minus 2 points for that.
Yeah, that turned into this. Through many years of selective breeding.
I'm gonna add a plus 5 for that. I saw in someone else's YouTube comments where this person was like, I thought they evolved in the wild. You mean to tell me an animal that has the swimming speed of a rock and is colorful would survive predation and pass on its genes to look like that in the wild? Are you dumb? You are not dumb. The education system has failed you. The American education system has failed you because they didn't teach you about fish. Or taxes. Both very important.
Through very delicate and aggressive sexual selection.
Goldfish during breeding, the males are really rough with the female. It's an animal that basically the female has to be like gangbang. And that's how they reproduce.
Crimes against nature. Yeah.
Crimes against nature.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, technically, I guess, right? But they don't live out in nature. They live in our safe tanks.
So one thing, they're very prone to like bladder infections. Another thing, they're prone to something called like flopsy. Flopsy or dropsy?
It's dropsy. But yeah, she corrects herself, so I'll let it slide.
And those are like the little flakes that you drop at the top of the tank, right? And the fish comes up to eat those. Well, when the fish does that, it swallows air. And it fucks with the fish's buoyancy. And it kills it.
So I'm going to plus like 15 points. That's very true. You want to soak it first or blend up the pellets so that it'll sink just to prevent them from swallowing air.
These things are a nightmare to take care of. These things are a nightmare to take care of.
Now, I've heard this argument before, where people will say goldfish are a nightmare to take care of. It's just work, really. Most people's goldfish die because of incompetence. And because of laziness, quite frankly. People are really amazed when I tell them 10% water changes 3 times a week, minimum. If you can do more, great, but that's the minimum. Make sure that your filter is cleaned weekly. You do that, make sure they've got quality food, they'll survive. These things can live up to 15 years. My biggest advice on this front is find a goldfish expert. Don't talk to a pet shop. Most of the people in a pet shop, some of them might know what they're talking about, some of them might not. Make sure you find an actual expert, and for the love of God, don't go to Google, because Google will just help you off a cliff. What is a nightmare is the learning curve. Once you get over that curve, there is a joyous, relaxing hobby on the other end, and you don't have to deal with an animal that barks until the early hours of the morning, or rips a 5-year-old apart.
False? Yeah, I'm saying false.
So that is true. Goldfish do have relatively fair memories. Not the greatest, not the worst.
Which human organ?
I love goldfish so much. I love goldfish so much. I was originally, like, I got into, we'll say, like, carp-like fish from goldfish. And what I was, like, really passionate about was koi fish. And I was like, koi fish are the most beautiful. These are the things.
I am going to give her 20 points for that. Just because I am biased. Koi is my first love with fish.
There's so much of them. Koi are pretty. Koi are pretty. Koi are a lot less up.
She gets another let's say 2 points. She gets another 2 points for that. Koi are definitely less screwed up. They are also a bit inbred, so they are the more colorful varieties are a bit more predisposed to certain diseases, but in comparison to fancy goldfish, they're definitely a bit hardier. However, if you don't have a lot of space, probably better to go with goldfish. As I've mentioned, more streamlined fancy goldfish exists if you don't want to struggle with the more round-bodied fancy varieties. Koi need about 1,000 liter per fish. A lot of people don't provide them enough space. They'll have like 1,000 liters and then just bugger in 20 koi, which is absolutely unacceptable. 1,000 liters is about 226 gallons, I believe, if I remember correctly.
So what fish is Sakana anyways? Cooked.
Let's tally up the score. Pipkin Pippa, you receive a grade of 49.5 out of 100. I don't know what that is in alphabet grading, but that's the numerical number.